Hello, it's Peter Keeble from TMR TV here, and what a great way of starting a new show in what has been a particularly dark week across the world. That was massive Wagons and their latest single Banging in Your Stereo, taking from their forthcoming album House of Noise, which will be out on Earache Records. On this week's show, we've got new music from the likes of Black Lakes, Daxx and Roxanne, and King, as well as a fascinating interview with Polyglass of Classic Rock magazine. Black Lakes are a young alt metal band from South Wales. There's 6 of them in fact. They've only released 4 songs and they've just released a new single called Break the Silence. But for this show I want to take you back to their first EP. This one is called Dissident.
Never-ending maze, watching myself waste away. The bitterness I taste, the bleeding temperance, I sit and slowly count the days. The ever-present doubts, forever creeping in. I feel my resolve weakening. This noose around my neck, tightened so I can't forget. The white noise of your voice repeating in my head, scars to retrace my regrets. The burden of a choice that's lost no meaning, though I'm always reaching out, but never reaching.
Now, want to make sure that you don't forget to subscribe. It's down here this time. We're doing YouTube only broadcasts because Facebook doesn't have a very sophisticated copyright system, which means that the bands can't monetize the videos that we include in the show. And that's really important to us. So we're going to stick with YouTube. We'll be using Facebook, Twitter, Instagram to promote everything and forward it over to YouTube, where you can watch the delight of our shows every week. Daxx and Roxanne are a four-piece hard rock band from Switzerland that are now living in London. They've just released their debut album and it's appropriately titled Daxx and Roxanne, and this is the first song from that. It's called Fast Lane. Not only do we like talking about new music here at TMR TV, but we also like to go behind the scenes, behind the curtain if you like, with what we call our insight interviews. In this episode, we are talking to the features editor of the world's leading music magazine, and that's Classic Rock, of course. And we're talking to Polly Glass. Now, in the first part of this interview, Polly is talking about what it is to be a features editor. So here we are, TMR TV, another insight video, and this time on the Zoom channel, we have Polly Glass from
Hello.
Classic Rock Magazine. How you doing, Polly?
Peter, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. We're in isolation still, obviously, no gigs yet.
Right.
So it's really intriguing. As I said to you before, TMR TV, we're doing these insight videos as well. We spoke to a booking agent before, Ben Ward of UTA, and now you've been good enough to come online to tell us all about your role of features editor at Classic Rock Magazine.
Sure, of course.
So, what is a features editor?
What is a features editor? Sure. Okay. Well, basically, in a nutshell, I'm responsible for planning, commissioning, and basically pulling together the bulk of the written content of the magazine. But this is the stuff that doesn't fall into the reviews section or the news and live interviews pages, because we have two separate section editors who are in charge of those.
Okay.
So that basically leaves me with the, well, ranging from the smaller regular pieces like your High Hopes, new band pieces. Anyone who reads classic rock will remember things like Story Behind the Song or our backpage Q&A, buyer's guide, that sort of thing. And then beyond that, you're looking at our longer reads in the main chunk of the magazine. So that could be semi-regular features like the classic rock interview or record store challenges. And then the rest of them that vary from month to month, depending on what's happening in the world of rock. And yeah, and beyond that, I write a certain amount each month myself, which varies issue to issue. But yeah, that's about the sum of it.
Wow. And then you have an online role as well, don't you? You do some of the stuff that goes out online that doesn't go into print.
No, it doesn't. I mean, to be honest with you, that's chiefly the territory of our we have an online editor, Fraser Lurie, who's the overlord of all that. But yeah, I write our Tracks of the Week feature every week. So that's which we collate together as a team, and I write the blurbs for it. So yeah, so I have a foot in the online pie as well.
Well, that's only fair, really, isn't it? Because Fraser gets to use your feature stuff, I presume, and reposition those online as well. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, there's a certain amount of crossover between the two, but obviously there are certain things that work for online that obviously we can't do in the monthly title, and vice versa. So yeah, we have two different roles, but there's crossover where it's appropriate.
And does your role turn into being the actual editor, the sub-editor of the individual articles? So after you've commissioned a piece, do you get to get the red pen out as they used to in old days?
No, I get the red pen out. Again, we have a production editor who's in charge of, as I say, the full sub-editing process. But yeah, of course. So when copy comes in that I've commissioned, and Sean, I should say, our editor-in-chief, I work closely with her to decide what goes in the issue each month. So yeah, anything that we've received, obviously we'll make any notes, and sometimes it's perfect and it's great and we can send it straight to sub-editing and it's fine. Other times it might need some tweaks, or even just to check some facts. But yeah, so there's that element too.
Wow. So that must mean you have got a humongous wall planner. Just
I have,
and then it must be wipeable or digital so that you can rejig everything when things hit the fan and you have to replan it and the interview doesn't come off or whatever it is.
To be honest with you, I'm a big lists person. I'm slightly full on the lists front. So I mean, if you looked at my Google Docs selection, it's probably the kind of thing that's at a point where it makes more sense to me than it would do to most people. So, but yeah, it works. I think it's all organized there, and that's good. God, I'm giving it all away now.
Yes, don't admit any weakness. We've got to make sure that all the contributors. So you have a list of contributors that you employ, I presume. They're freelance and some staff, I would have thought, at Future Publishing.
Yes, that's right. I mean, most of the writers' names that you'll see cropping up frequently are freelancers, and we're a pretty small core staff team now. But but yeah, so it's a mixture. As I say, I write a certain amount each month, and Dave Ling, our news and lives editor, he writes a lot, and Ian Fortnum, who does reviews as well, Fraser, you mentioned before, he does as well. So yeah, so there's, as I say, we've got quite a big pool of freelance guys who will write for us each month, and yeah, and then some stuff comes from in-house as well.
Yeah. So there must be a bunch of PR people knocking at your door, trying to get their artists in the print pages, I'll just call them pages, shall we? In the pages of your Steam magazine. But you also have your own ideas as to what's going to go down. Previous issues, so the one that's just come out about the blues history was really intriguing, and then you've had a big feature this issue on the Beatles and Let It Be and the anniversary of that. So they rarely coming from PR people, or are they internal ideas that you brainstormed as a team?
It's a big mixture, to be honest, and I suppose present global circumstances have had a knock-on effect on the nature of these things come together, as they've had an effect across the whole industry, the whole world even. But yeah, typically it will come from, I mean, it will be a mixture of stuff that we've generated between us. So me and John and the team will sit down and thrash out some ideas and think of what might be an interesting new way to revisit someone that we've maybe talked about before. Like, you know, one of our classic bands will think, okay, there's an album of theirs that we've not done before, or a particular era, or someone's got a new book coming out, or photo books, that kind of thing that we can capitalize on. And sometimes we have some regular writers who might pitch in ideas themselves. I mean, we're lucky we've got some people who've been with us for a long time, and some who were on staff themselves in the past, so they've got a pretty good sense of what works, so it can be quite useful to get stuff from them. But yeah, obviously a certain amount comes from PRs and labels pitching us things to do with bands of theirs that have albums coming out, or people who are going to be in town, or have there's a press trip possibility on the cards, and then album anniversaries as well. Obviously this year there's been a few big, the Beatles being one, so those can be interesting things to revisit. So yeah, it's a big pot of different things that
and it must be part of the challenge to get that balance between new and nostalgia, I suppose. I mean, we're talking about the Beatles and Let It Be, and obviously a classic album, so it's worthy of that time span and attention to detail. But then you've got new material coming through from some of these well-established artists, but also new artists. So you've got to get that balance there, because your readership is sort of that broad, is it?
Yes. Oh no, absolutely. I mean, as I say, we're called classic rock. The starting point of our bread and butter is always going to be your AC/DCs, your Led Zeppelins, your Beatles, your classic heritage acts that have, there's a lot to be said about them. But at the same time, there's a huge amount of stuff that's emerged in more recent years that is absolutely worthy of coverage. But you'd like the idea of hearing some new music that you'll genuinely enjoy, then maybe, hey, here's some new guys that maybe you didn't know existed. And yeah, I think there's something special about discovering or learning about a new band for yourself the first time. I mean, I'm sure you feel this, and I think probably anyone who I know in the industry would say the same thing, that if you can hear a new band that can really pleasantly surprise you with something, either
pleasantly surprise you.
Yeah, well, exactly. There's something special about that. So I think if we can keep creating those kinds of little experiences for people, then I'll be happy.
What's the competition like, both internally at Future, because obviously you've got a sister publication in Metal Hammer, and there must be some crossover when the likes of Black Sabbath and Judas Priest and others that would be classed as sort of classic rock, and also Metal Hammer territory. Do you get to battle it out? Do you get head on head with Merlin and I want to get
lots of fighting. All very very aggressive punch-ups in the office. It's
serious paper cuts and stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah, it's war. No, honestly not. To be honest with you, yeah, you're right. Of course, there are certain acts that create a crossover between us and between Prog Magazine as well. The people like Jethro Tull and Pink Floyd and Rush, who were a recent cover star of ours, who are also big names for those guys. So, and to be honest with you, typically if the opportunity comes up for a cover with one of those artists, there'll be conversations between the 3 respective editors. So Sean or Jeremy and Merlin will say, okay, well, look, this artist is a big one for us, and we have the opportunity to do this, and it will work particularly well for Hammer or acid rock or prog. So no, there's always a discussion if there's the prospect.
And of course the other guys, they know that Sean is into a martial arts still, I presume, and things like that. So there'll be a little bit of reverence there.
Oh yeah, she'll kick their asses if there's any kind of distance of no, but yeah, there's always people will talk about it basically if there's any serious crossover like that.
Well, that was great talking to Polly, wasn't it? We'll be running the full interview for that later in the week, and you can check that out on our Facebook pages and also YouTube. Well, hasn't time flown by? We've had some fantastic new music, had a really intriguing interview with Polly, and we thank her for her time. And it's time to leave you with the last song of the show. This is the new single from King King. They've got a new album coming out in October of this year, and it's available for pre-order now. That album is called Maverick. This is a song called I Will Not Fall. We hope you've enjoyed this show. My name's been Peter Keevil. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we will see you real soon.
Circling again, you act like friends, but I won't be fooled again. I will not fall. I will not cry. I won't be your fool again. Step back, get away from me. I don't need your lies, your tears. king.